Hey, this is Danny from Scare Talk. Before we get into all the horror greatness, I gotta let you know about Anchor. Anchor is the host site that we use to record our podcast. Anchor will upload your podcast to Apple and Spotify and many other listening platforms. Anchor is completely free, and you can download the app or go to the website, anchor.fm, and you can record straight on there. There's also some cool editing tools that you can use. Did I mention that it's free? Yeah, so if you want to make a podcast, Anchor is the way to go. Go check it out. Now, for the spooky stuff.
Welcome to Scare Talk, a horror movie podcast for horror fans. This podcast will cover horror movie reviews, ratings, and rankings. Now for your hosts, Danny and Joel.
Oh, yes. This is Scare Talk. I am Danny, and I'm here with Jumpy Joel.
Hey guys, what's up? Jumpy Joel.
Oh, yeah. You're a little jumpy today. We're going to talk about a pretty scary movie.
Scariest of them all.
We're going to talk about the original, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974, I believe.
Our next series that we're doing.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing them all.
So let's talk about the original, though. Who was in it?
So this one stars Marilyn Burns. She played Sally.
All right.
She was in Eaten Alive.
Okay.
Kiss Daddy Goodbye.
Oh.
And I don't know how big her character was in this, but she was in Texas Chainsaw.
Oh.
So I think she did play
like 2000
the 3D or whatever.
2011 or something, 2010
something like that. Yeah.
Movie. Okay.
Yeah. And I think she did play Sally in that movie.
Oh, she played herself. Or not herself,
yeah,
but same character.
Herself, but her name's Marilyn, but yeah, same character. And we've got Alan Danziger. He is Jerry. He's one of the friends. I think he's the boyfriend of Sally. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
He was in Eggshells and Cannibal Comedian. And that's it.
Okay.
Great movies these guys were in after the success of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, yeah.
And we've got Gunnar Hansen. He is Leatherface.
Gunnar.
This was his very first movie he ever did.
Oh, cool.
And then he went on to do movies like Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. Mosquito. And the classic Brutal Massacre, a comedy.
Man. All right. It's funny how doing one horror movie, you can get really typecasted.
Oh, yeah. There were a couple chainsaw titles in the movies he was in. There was at least one or two more. I was like, I'm not going to put all of them on here.
That's funny. All right.
And it was written by Kim Henkel. She did the screenplay and the story.
This was written by a woman?
Yeah, can you believe it?
Okay.
No, and one other person.
Oh,
wrote it too.
Okay.
Women could write back then. That's crazy.
Well, it's just kind of a gruesome movie, and to have a woman, right? Especially back then.
Back then, in like the 70s.
Yeah.
She wrote Last Night at the Alamo.
Okay.
The Unseen. Texas Chainsaw: The Next Generation.
Yes.
And the remake. So she's...
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She wrote a few of these movies. As well as Toby Hooper.
Oh,
he is also the director. He did the screenplay for this, and he wrote Eggshells.
Oh, man.
I'm sure I mentioned earlier. Spontaneous Combustion. and The Mangler.
Oh, I've heard of that one. I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it.
Yeah. Yeah, he also directed this, as well as the it was a TV miniseries, Salem's Lot. I don't think they ever made an actual movie of that yet, but they need to. Poltergeist and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Okay.
So he did the first 2.
Oh yeah. All right.
Yeah. All right.
So the synopsis: 5 friends head out to rural Texas to visit the grave of a grandfather. On the way, they stumble across what appears to be a deserted house, only to discover something sinister within, something armed with a chainsaw.
Oh, man.
Definitely not just something armed with a chainsaw. There's a lot more going on in that house.
Yeah.
He's like the least of your worries.
I know. Oh,
all right, so before we get into positives and negatives,
kind of feel bad for the guy.
Yeah,
the series.
Oh, poor Leather, poor guy.
Just murdering all these people, but it's not all his fault.
Yeah, he's he's just like a puppet, really.
Yeah.
So before we get into too much more, I have a question.
Okay.
Were people just weird in the 70s?
As far as like the people in the movie?
Yeah, well, like, and the 80s, because the writing and the acting of some of these movies are just so weird. It's just so weird. Like, is this how people were? I feel like it's a very different
whatever it is, people are
time,
speeding
I
this
guess.
stuff up.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a classic for a lot of people.
Yeah.
As well as those similarly written 80s movies that seem to be classics as well.
Yeah.
So people are just weird.
I mean, you look back at this one, the writing is really strange. Some of the lines. Mm-hmm. The acting, definitely strange.
They're like, this is what a kid would say, right?
Yeah, I mean, then that's what I wonder.
20-something would say.
were people talking
70s?
like that back then? Were people like, was this like actual dialogue? I don't know. That's what I mean.
Improvised. All the characters, all the actors did their own lines.
like this, Halloween has some weird writing, some weird acting.
Yeah.
Sleepaway Camp, really weird with the writing and acting.
Watch that episode, guys, if you haven't. It's a fun one.
Yeah. So I
a fun episode.
just wonder, like,
were
people just really different back then?
Yeah, they definitely
I guess they were.
And their audiences were just as different.
Yeah. They were writing for different generation. That's for sure.
Oh, they definitely were.
Okay, I had to get that out of the way. So what did you like about this one?
With this movie, I liked some of the kill scenes in this movie. A lot of it wasn't really shown.
You're a little timid on your.
I'm trying to remember, like, if there really were full-on kill scenes that they showed.
Yeah, really.
I'm actually second-guessing myself here, because I'm like, were there kill scenes? I mean, obviously people died, but they were off-screen for the most part.
Yeah, it was like, he would, like, hit him. Like, you didn't. There wasn't really any, like, blood or gore in the movie. Like, at all.
No, there wasn't. And apparently that's what people liked back then.
I gotta say, it looked...
horror movies with no violence and bad acting. And
I mean, look at Halloween. That didn't have much blood or
It
gore.
had a story, though.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a very big one, but it had one. This is a story of people driving. And they get lost. And that's it. Like, all right. I mean, Halloween, it didn't have much of it. It didn't have a very complex storyline. but there was something going for it besides.
But I mean, the kills and the gore, and it wasn't really there. There wasn't really much.
No. Yeah, no, there wasn't a whole lot.
Yeah. So I just think it wasn't common, maybe, back then.
It had the intensity, though. It had the atmosphere.
Yeah.
This one didn't even really have that.
So
there was some, I guess, but, not... Not a lot. Like, I'm just trying to figure out why people love this movie so much. Why they made like 8 more movies after this.
Yeah, I really don't understand how this became a franchise. Like, at all. I don't get that. This is definitely more of a cult classic, like one and done type of movie, Yeah.
Definitely
didn't warrant a franchise. So
Leatherface is cool though.
Yeah,
I
like Leatherface. Yeah,
he is definitely an icon in horror.
Yeah,
it's just the movies he's attached to. It's just not good. I'm sorry, Leatherface. Sorry you have to go through all that.
Yeah, poor guy.
Your family sucks. By the way, I'm sorry that you're in that family.
Yeah. So I will say I hated this movie when I first saw it. I thought it was so bad. But on my second watch recently, I kind of liked it, to be honest.
I mean, it's not the worst horror movie out there.
I feel like you have to kind of have a few viewings of this to appreciate it.
Yeah.
But anyways, go ahead. Keep going if you can find any more positives.
Okay. I'm really thinking. I'm really trying to, dig deep in this movie. Cuz this to me, I mean, it's slightly better. I mean, not slightly. It's definitely better. But as far as trying to find positives, it reminds me of Sleepaway Camp.
Okay.
In that there really aren't that many. And I really had a hard time coming up with stuff in that movie.
Yeah.
This one was definitely better than that by quite a bit. But I'm still trying. I'm still having issues with positives. So I am going to say there wasn't a whole lot to it, but the atmosphere, there was some intensity in it, I guess, at some points. Really, reaching at straws here. And I mean, as messed up as they are, the family is kind of cool.
Yeah,
the family is pretty much rough. What makes this movie. Yeah. And I just want a movie of just the family, like how they became, because you don't just become that.
Right.
Like, you got to go through some stuff in order to, especially like everyone in the family. Like, there's not one good person, really.
Yeah.
In your whole family, like Leatherface was doomed from the beginning.
Yeah, he's probably the best one.
Probably is.
Take the chainsaw away from him, and he's not too bad.
He's actually a pretty cool guy. Hang out with him on the weekends.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's his family really. That's the horror part of this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he chases you with a chainsaw. That's pretty bad. That's actually positive because he is scary when he runs after people.
Yeah.
Like this giant person wearing someone else's face is chasing you, not just like walking towards you with a chainsaw, but he's running. Like you don't see that in horror hardly ever. Like,
right, especially
they'll actually run after you.
Especially a masked killer.
Yeah. A masked killer wearing someone else's face, like another victim's face. Like, you're going to be the next one he's wearing, right?
That's rough. Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was pretty intense. That was probably the intense part that I was talking about earlier. Yeah. Him chasing you with a chainsaw. It's pretty intense.
It's pretty iconic too. A couple of those shots with him chasing with the chainsaw, like the chainsaw kind of going out of control in his hands and stuff. Like, that's pretty iconic for horror.
Yeah. So that's probably it for my positives.
Okay. So for me, the intro, I liked the intro.
The narration.
The narration I liked.
Yeah.
And the credits, the like kind of... So I wouldn't say that there's music in this movie. It's more of like sound and just tone, like different like tones, I guess. I don't know. There's not music, I wouldn't say, but it definitely gives an atmosphere to it that is uncomfortable at times, especially when you're, in the family's home and stuff. And Leatherface, and he's like sawing your friend up in front of you and stuff. It's just this. It's hard to explain, but it's an uncomfortable atmosphere that it kind of brings, and it makes it. And so again, I hated this movie when I first saw it. I thought it was so dumb, wasn't realistic, not scary, more so just annoying. But the second time, I kind of felt like it was a little realistic. It had like a real feel to it, because it didn't seem so produced, didn't seem so like Hollywood, like the other newer Texas Chainsaw films. there definitely is a different feel as far as quality goes, right? And just more simple, more grounded. And just some of those scenes with some of the kills, while you don't really see a lot of the blood and stuff, it still gives this like uncomfortable vibe when you're watching that. And there's one part where he takes one of the girls and like places her on this hook on the wall, which is in the remake. But in the remake, it's a guy, and in the remake, you like hear the like flesh tearing, and it's like this, all this sound effects. In the original, there's none of that. It's just like you just put her on there, and it's just, that's what I mean by more realistic. It just, there's no overproduction. It just kind of is what it is. You're watching
you
what it is.
You would think that there'd be some noise, though.
There's a little bit of noise, but not.
When you're, and like he didn't just gently place her on the hook. Like he like dropped her on the hook. So there'd be some tearing of flesh for sure.
So I had read that a lot of the like bones and stuff, those are real.
The bones are real?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't surprise
like
me.
Animal bones and skulls and all kinds of stuff. That scene in
Poltergeist, which is another Tobe Hooper movie, had like real skeletons in it. Like real human skeletons.
Yeah.
In one scene. So it doesn't surprise me. This guy's
he's weird.
Kind of a weirdo. But
And I also read that the final scene in the dinner scene, which is also pretty a lot of what this movie's known for, that they shot that so many times over and over and over again, and it was in the middle of summer in Texas, and it was hot, and what you're seeing the actress do, she's like going crazy, and she's like literally going crazy because of like just the exhaustion of doing the scene so many times. So I think, this director is very, he likes to put you in that, as an actor, put you in the Texas Chainsaw world with the real bones and, all that. So.
Yeah. I heard that it was so hot that Leatherface is wearing like so much in this heat that like the rest of the cast had to like stay away from him because he was smelling so bad.
Yeah, I could see it. So, and then also, the horror here is not like your regular, what we consider horror today. It's more of the like victimization of people. It's more of just like, just doing horrible things to people, Even though you don't see a lot of it, it's not like in your face, bloody, gory. It's just evil. You're just watching people be evil on screen.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminded me of Devil's Rejects in a sense that there's not much of a story. It's just evil people going around victimizing people for no reason.
Evil stuff. Yeah.
And the tone is like the same. There's not really any music. It's more of like sound. Mm-hmm. And it's just evil people doing evil stuff. And I know that Rob Zombie is very much influenced by this movie. Mm-hmm. And that I can kind of like connect that now. Like, okay, I see the horror. This is a different type of horror than any other like horror genres, like slashers. Don't even know if I would call this a slasher. This is more of like just a snuff film. Like it's, I don't know. I mean, it's a slasher, but it's different. It has a different feel. Slashers are fun. This is not fun. This is not a fun movie to watch.
No. Yeah, no. I only watch this because of our podcast.
Yeah.
Like, this is not something that I'm just going to put on every year or every other year.
Yeah. It's definitely not a fun movie.
This is not an enjoyable movie. Not to say it doesn't have its moments, but, you know, it's not, you know, it's not a movie that I'm probably not going to watch this again for a while, a very long time.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to watch, you know, not just because it's like so bad, but it's just kind of hard to watch in general. It just makes me uncomfortable. So,
yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about some negatives.
Okay. Well, to start out, I was going to save this till like later, but I'm going to start off with this negative. It's probably my biggest negative of the movie, and that is a character named Franklin. I hate this character. If we made an episode of our top 10 worst characters in horror, he'd be on that list.
Yeah.
He'd be pretty high up on that list, actually.
Yeah, he's pretty bad.
He is so annoying. And on IMDb, when I was going through who I was going to, be listing, he came up as like the second or third person. I was like, nope, I'm not talking about you. I don't like
no credit
you at
to
all.
That actor.
No, I'm sure he's a fine person. I did click on him and he's got like 3 credits to his name, but you know, this is unfortunately one of them. And he is like, besides Sally, like the main character of the movie.
Yeah, he's in it.
Unfortunately, he's in it like till he's the last person that dies, basically. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. That's an unfortunate thing, but you know, whatever. You can't kill off someone in a wheelchair first. That's not nice.
Yeah.
I don't know why his character needed to be in one in the first place, but okay.
Right. Well, this is based on a true story, Joel. So maybe maybe one of the characters was in a wheelchair.
Based on a true story. Is he as annoying in real life as he is in this movie? I would hope not. The acting is horrible as well.
Yeah.
I wasn't really expecting the acting to be great in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, but I was at least expecting it to be okay.
Yeah.
Like maybe a neutral for me, but it's a full-on negative.
Okay.
And I'm basically just talking about people in this, but I'm going to mention another one. The hitchhiker, who I knew we were going to see again.
Yeah.
I knew he was related to that family. I was like, oh man, I'm going to see you again. I hate this character. Besides Franklin, he's my second most hated character in this movie. He was so annoying. I don't know if that's just the character or that's like his acting.
Yeah.
But whatever it was.
It's supposed to be unnerving. It's supposed to...
It wasn't unnerving. It was annoying.
Well, see, and that's the thing. So when I first saw it, I was annoyed by all the characters. But my second time watching it, I knew what to expect. So I was kind of like, okay, what's the point here? Why are we acting like this? And that's kind of why I asked, like, are people just weird back then? Because what the hell? This is purposeful. You're doing this on purpose. Why? And it's supposed to be I mean, imagine being in a van imagine picking up a hitchhiker in the first place, but and then this is what he does. This is how he acts. This is, that's creepy. That's weird.
He I don't know. Gotten kicked out way before he ended up getting kicked out. You wouldn't have had time to pull out that knife. Sorry, you're gone way before that. You are weird.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a reason you were walking home. Like, people were just kicking you out of their cars. Hitchhiking.
Yeah.
But I figured, I was like, all right, this guy is acting like this because he's part of the family. For sure. I didn't know he was going to be his brother. That was like, all right, well, that makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
But I just thought he was like a family member, which makes sense for the character. But he was still just annoying.
Yeah, yeah.
I was just like, I know you're trying to you're just going way over the top here.
Yeah.
And even the family, as crazy as they were not as crazy as that. They didn't act nearly as ridiculous as he acted in that car. Like, no one in that family did. The one character at the end, who you think is a good guy, he was actually like a normal person. But he was, wasn't he like the dad or something of Leatherface and whatever, the hitchhiker guys?
No, I don't think it was the dad. I think the dad was pretty crazy. Oh, you think he's a good guy? You're saying?
Well, it makes it seem like he was a good person, like a good guy, trying to help her, and then ends up being obvious, like part of one of the family members.
Okay, yeah,
but I thought that he was, he is the dad, yeah. Okay, yeah, that's what, yeah. What happened there, dude? Like, you're a normal person. What?
It's all part of the
relatively game. Yeah, but he at least acted normal. Like, this guy was just like, all right, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
From the very beginning. You could have at least tried.
Right.
No trying.
Right, no. Yeah, he hasn't learned how to be subtle.
No.
Takes time.
Yeah. Apparently so. Oh man, that was just the worst. So, I mean, for the most part, like, I mainly had an issue with those two and just the acting in general.
Yeah,
was just not good.
Yeah,
but I mean, I enjoyed whatever story that they had in this. There wasn't much of a story, but whatever it was, I liked that there's like this crazy cannibalistic family out in the middle of nowhere, Texas, and they just happen to be driving by this town or this house when all this stuff happened. I like that it's based on a true story. I don't know how much of it's true. It's probably very loosely based. Yeah. But,
Ed Gein, I think.
Ed Gein, yeah. I think it's about him.
Killer who they're portraying. Leatherface is portraying. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I mean, that's the majority of my negativity right there. Is just those characters. I just couldn't get past Franklin. It wouldn't be as bad if he was like one of the first ones to go.
Yeah.
But the fact that they had to bring him in throughout the entire movie, I was like, "Are you kidding me right now?"
Yeah.
He was just so whiny and he was just the worst.
You do not approve, huh?
I do not. No.
Okay.
You're supposed to feel sorry for him because he's in a wheelchair. I don't feel sorry for him at all.
No.
No.
Yeah, he's definitely a negative for me as well. Again, the first time I saw it, he was obviously a negative. He still is, but not as much because I kind of knew what to expect, and then I kind of laughed at him. Like, he was kind of just I don't know, some of the lines he had and some of the acting was just made me laugh. Yeah. So, I mean, he's definitely a negative, but it didn't bother me as much the second time around. Negative.
I've seen this before, but like years ago, and I don't remember that character being as bad as he was. Like, I don't remember that at all. I'm like, wow, okay, this is as if I'm watching this for the first time. But I know it's not.
Yeah.
No, I've seen this one at least once before. But, yeah.
My biggest negative the first time I saw it, which was only a couple of years ago, so I remember it pretty well. And because I was so disappointed, because it's like a classic, you know? So I was expecting it to be much better. What I was really the huge negative was the dinner scene. I hated that scene, and I still don't like it. I understand it, but I don't like how long it's drawn out. It's so much screaming and just so much laughing and screaming and just so annoying. It like, I get like they're all kind of descending into madness, and just, you know, it's supposed to be unnerving, of course, and supposed to be disturbing, which it is, but you went too far with it to where it just became annoying. So
you took it a minute too far.
Yeah. Still a negative. Still a negative for me. That'd probably be neutral for me. It didn't really bother me that much. Yeah, her screaming got a little old after a while. Yeah. We get it. You're in a situation that's scary. Yeah. But, you know, can you just like maybe keep it down a little bit? And it wasn't just her, like it was them too. Like they're screaming with her and laughing and like yelling, and I understood them a little bit more. Well, I mean, not more, but I understood, like, they were just like mocking her the entire time that she was screaming. Right. So it was like another jab at the character. Right. What, you know, it shows more how evil they are. Crazy. Yeah. 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 That this family is. Yeah. And so, So it bothered me slightly more of her screaming than it did of their screaming. Right. No, yeah. Because their screaming was only because she was screaming. Yeah. So it was, you know. It's not really their fault. No, it's not. Well, you guys, they could have just not mocked her, but, you know. But yeah, like, that's what I mean. Like, I get the purpose of it all to make it just so uncomfortable, but it was uncomfortable to the point of I want to turn this off because there's just too much noise going on, and it's just overwhelming. But I think that's the point at the same time. So, you know, and that's kind of where I connect Rob Zombie with this movie, because a lot of his movies are too much for me. Like the dialogue, the screaming, the brutality, the just evilness of it. But that's the point, you know? It's supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. So if you want to feel uncomfortable and you don't mind horrible acting, then Texas Chainsaw Massacre will do it for you. In my opinion. Or any Rob Zombie movie. Yeah, I would say Rob Zombie for sure. Yeah. His movies are definitely on the uncomfortable side. Yeah. This movie, I mean, watch it if you haven't seen it yet. But just, you know, just remember that there's some characters that you may not like very much. Yeah. Yeah. And the acting is not good. Yeah. So that's the other negative for me, the acting. Yeah. The dinner scene being too long, and then the acting are my two negatives that I'll take from this. All right. Let's go ahead and grade it. What do you got? This is probably your favorite movie, so. Well, so that's my thing. I'm sure I was going to give this one, I don't know, like I was originally going to give this one like a 72. Oh, okay. Because it had its moments, and it is considered a classic. But then I was like, there's probably going to be others that are worse, that are worse than this one, but at the same time don't really want to give it like a D. They might, I don't know, I haven't watched 3 and 4 yet. So they might even get an F, I don't know, at this point. So because I don't know where the other ones are going to fall, and I might want to give some a lower grade, but also not a
not a D, not a failing grade.
Yeah.
I might give this one like a 74.
Okay.
Raise it about 2 because I don't know what the other ones are gonna give me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
all right. For me, I'm going 82.
82.
Yeah.
All right.
If you would have asked me a couple years ago when I first saw this would probably be like in the 20s or 30s. I hated it. I hated it so much. But I feel like this is one you have to see a few times before you kind of enjoy it a little bit and get it, I guess. Get the point of it. So I'm going 82. And I'm sure I will rate a couple of the newer ones a little higher than that because I did see a few of those and I did enjoy those. So, but we'll see about the other ones. I know Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is definitely not going to be a higher than 82. We'll say that.
You don't think it's going to be?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I've already watched it, so a little preview for the next episode.
It's going to be an 80, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Barely lower.
All right. So you got a 74. I got an 82.
Yep.
And, we're going to be trucking on through these.
All right.
Well, this has been our episode on the original, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And this has been Scare Talk.
Sleep tight.
Don't let Franklin bite.